Go ahead.
Yeah, Jen, thanks. What more can you tell us about these trips next week that the president is making? Can you tell us what states or locations they are? How is this a multi-day trip or just one day? I think you said middle of the week.
Yeah.
And the fact that the president is going on the road, so to speak, is this a sign that he has struggled to sell this plan so far to the public for you to do this at this point?
Well, I don't have the details yet. I understand why you're asking, but I wasn't trying to be secretive about them. We're still trying to finalize all the specifics. We may have more by the end of today or first thing tomorrow morning. As soon as we do, we'll make them available. It's going to be at least one day, maybe 2 days of travel next week if we can finalize all of the details. Look, we know that the components of these packages are quite popular, and I went through this the other day with the American people. If you look at the child tax credit, if you look at universal pre-K, if you look at elder care and ensuring that elder care is something that can be cost effective and achievable, being able to cover it for people, and also making sure our roads and our rails and our bridges are rebuilt, also very popular, as is addressing the climate crisis. But he also recognizes that he needs to be out there conveying to the American public why this matters to them, even if they like different components of the package. So this is something he's committed to doing. You'll see him doing over the coming weeks and months. We made an assessment, because there's almost nothing more valuable than the time of the President of the United States, that in this week, when we were in a key period of negotiating and having discussions with legislators, specifically a couple of members of the Senate, that his time would be best spent here in Washington, being available, meeting with people, and having phone calls. But we'll see. He'll do that next week too, but he'll also be on the road. Will
these trips be in what we think of as swing states, or maybe even the states of some of the senators who haven't gotten on board yet, say maybe Arizona?
He's going to be, I understand your line of questioning. We'll get your advice. Right. What does it rhyme with? I understand your question. Look, he's not going out to the country to do anything more than communicate with the public about how Democrats are working together to make their lives better. And I expect we'll have more details on the next 24 hours about where. Go ahead, Karen.
Thanks, Jen. You've said a couple times that timelines help make progress and that self-imposed deadlines also make progress. In all of the meetings this week between White House staff and the president with lawmakers, was the White House explicitly telling progressives to hold their ground on not having the vote or not voting for the BIF until the second part? And was the White House also saying to the moderates, keep pushing for a timeline in order to get to that point that we got to yesterday?
So we're renegotiating against ourselves?
What were you actually telling both, continuing on these paths
Karen,
can actually bring progress?
It's a good question. I know there's been some reporting out there. I can assure you there is no moment in time where any senior member of this White House was arguing for anyone to vote against a piece of the president's agenda. What is also true is that we have been communicating with such a broad range of members from across the caucus that often we know where different parts of the caucus stand. And so we have been in many ways liaisons along with leadership to convey this is where this group stands, this is where that group may stand, and conveying so that we can help reach a unifying point and get across the finish line. And the vast majority of that, without all the specifics, is very much known publicly, right? There's a group who have been out on television and out very publicly, and your colleagues on the Hill asked them good questions, who have conveyed we absolutely need to have a clear path forward on the Build Back Better agenda in order to support the infrastructure bill. They're also a group that has conveyed that they want the infrastructure vote, otherwise they're not going to support the reconciliation package. So what we're trying to do is gather all the views, gather all the voices, figure out what everyone's for, and try to get both pieces of legislation passed.
Follow up on my colleague Mary Alice's question. You're getting all that together, figuring out where everybody stands, and they're making it very public. But is there a point where the president says, we know where everybody stands, but now everybody has to just put aside some of those red lines and get behind his agenda to get something done?
Well, I think I understand your question, but look, and he's going to make the case for the importance of getting his agenda done today, right? These proposals when he goes to the caucus. But ultimately, it's a separate branch of government, right? Individual members have a vote. That's how the United States of America was set up. And I think you've met a lot of these people. They're not looking to be told what to do or have their arms twisted. They want to be a part of the discussion, a part of the engagement. The good news is, if you've heard and you've seen many of these members from all sides of this debate out there saying, we're making progress, we're getting there, we're getting closer to an agreement. We agree with that. And so we're going to continue to follow this path.